I'm Joe Chang, Global Editor of ICIS Chemical Business, and it's great to be here at the AFPM IPC with Chet Thompson, the CEO of AFPM. So Chet, thanks for joining us, and it's great to be here in person.
Well, thanks for having me on your show, and thanks for being here. We're excited to be back.
Okay, so I got to ask you about impact of Russia and Ukraine, the war there, the spike up in energy prices worldwide, and just wanted to get your thoughts on what you see for the U.S. industry in terms of energy independence or energy security, you know, the importance of that. Does that kind of come more into the spotlight, and what can the U.S. really do?
Well, let me start off, Joe, by saying, you know, what's happening in Ukraine is terrible, and you know, it's devastating, and certainly those within our industry are rallying around the people of Ukraine. And in fact, you know, I'm really proud, you know, the very day that Russia invaded Ukraine, our U.S. refiners, all of them, immediately stopped and you know, made a commitment, no more Russian crude. And they did this, you know, before there was any executive order from the White House. They did this because it was the right thing to do. So as you know, as far as it's, you know, the impact to the industry, it's, you know, we're still trying to see it play out. In the short term, there was a loss of a, you know, relatively small amount of U.S. crude. Russian crude was about 3% of our imports, 1% of you know, refining utilization. You know, so it's small, but it still required some changes in the crude slate, and you know, that's happened pretty quickly. You know, certainly what it's done to the price of crude has been pretty dramatic, and as you know, so the price of crude is driven, you know, as a global commodity, it's driven by all these events. So, you know, coming out of COVID and demand was already outstripping supply. You add in the Ukraine invasion, and so you really got to really high crude prices, and that results in gasoline prices being higher where we like to see them. The crude's about 60% of gasoline. So, you know, the thing that we think the opportunities it provides us is to really get policies to focus on the importance of energy security in North America in particular. We have God-given resources in North America that, you know, would allow us to largely meet the North American energy needs, as well as a lot of our allies that right now are relying on places like Russia, and there's really no excuse for that going forward. And so we have enough. We're hoping policymakers recognize the importance of that and move forward with policies that back it up.
Sure. And are you optimistic at all that such policies can change or shift, I guess, towards, in the favor of the industry in terms of additional production and enabling the infrastructure to allow that?
Well, you know, Joe, as I've told you in the past, I choose to be optimistic. You know, look, Washington is greatly focused on this issue right now. When you look at the vulnerabilities in Europe for being over-reliant on places that maybe don't have our best interest at heart, that's a really dangerous place to be. And so I think policymakers are seeing that. I see that, you know, that they recognize it's critically important for us to be energy secure. That said, I would say the messages coming out of the administration right now are a bit muddled. They certainly want us to be more energy secure, but they, you know, there still are advocating policies that are, you know, creating headwinds for us to continue to do the things that U.S. producers need to do to meet some of the shortfall, to make up for some of the shortfall.
Okay, all right. I want to just switch quickly to petrochemicals and the potential opportunity there as you see the differentials in oil, you know, high oil prices versus relatively low natural gas in the U.S. is certainly benefiting a number of producers and could open up the export opportunity for a number of plastics and chemicals. So, yeah, do you see more of a potential for U.S. exports as others cut down?
We do. We continue to, we used to have, U.S. had an advantage with location and abundance of resources and lower natural gas prices, and as you know, that's going to continue. So we see lots of opportunities. We know demand for our products is going to continue to increase. The world populations are growing. We're expected to grow by 2 billion in the next couple of decades, and the middle class continues to grow. And so there's a real demand for our products. And again, I think U.S. petrochemical industry, we're well situated and suited, and we have the resources to meet that needs, and we will meet those needs.
Great. And lastly, let me ask you about sustainability. I suppose, with the conversation so much on the high oil prices and of course the consequence of Russia-Ukraine, what are your thoughts on sustainability and things like plastics recycling and CCS, carbon capture? Is that still a major focus for the industry?
It's a major focus. It has been, for several years and will, going forward. We view, our members view, the industry's view, their mission is to provide the petrochemicals and the fuels that literally the world and economies need to thrive, but in a safer, cleaner, healthier way, more sustainable way. You've seen massive investments in advanced recycling over the last few years, massive investments in alternative fuels, renewable diesel really jumps to mind, and projects like carbon capture, use and sequestration. So I see that continuing. I don't see this, I see our drive for greater sustainability only increasing over time, not decreasing.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Chet. Appreciate the talk.
Well, happy and glad you're here, and thanks again for supporting us.
Got it.